All right. Hello, everyone. As we have people filing in, I want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight to talk about move-in with Housing and Residence Life. I see people are filing in and we love to see it. While we let people in, Mason, do you want to run everyone through how the interactive piece of this session is going to go for tonight?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Just so you know, we'll be doing a question and answer. So you will see us, the AU hosts of this webinar session. You'll be able to interact with us via the question and answer. So if there are things that are popping up as we're talking, we have some folks who will be specifically focusing on that feature, getting some questions answered as we go. But you'll use that to basically interact with us. And towards the end, we'll start pulling out some of those questions, some of the things that are more recurring. We have a lot of information to get through. So there will probably be some of the same questions by the end. The Res Life and housing teams will do our best to kind of collate some of that and bring some of that to the forefront at the end of the period when we reserve for questions.
Perfect. And I am still admitting people in, so we'll give people just a little bit of wiggle room. But as this was posted on social media earlier today, and when we sent out the link, just to reiterate, this will be recorded and posted on our Student Affairs YouTube page. And so we'll be able to link that on our web pages. So you'll be able to watch this if for any reason you have connectivity issues, if you have to leave, or, if you just end up missing it. Let's see. So I got some people filing in here.
Shamira, do you
Yes.
have the, can you say the meeting ID out loud? There's a question regarding the meeting ID. Their individual's daughter is trying to access from the phone.
Yes, I have to pull it up on my phone just because I'm the one sharing my screen. Just give me 1 second.
I think I have it, Shamira, here. I think it's 9438962. I will type that now.
Thank you. I'm having trouble finding it.
And for folks who might have difficulty hearing or seeing the presentation, for the hearing piece, you may have to connect your audio to the Zoom. And to do that, you just have to click where the microphone is, or excuse me, yeah, where the microphone is, where you are able to mute yourself, click the up arrow, and then you'll be able to select the speakers or the output based on what you have, or select the microphone. And you should be able to connect your audio that way.
Okay. And I will still be admitting people as they come in, but I think we're going to get started just so we can keep this thing moving along. We have about an hour with each other, so I want to be able to make the most of our time. So again, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We know 8 o'clock is kind of like that sweet spot to do your own thing. And so we appreciate you all dedicating an hour just to spend some time with us to learn about this very exciting event we have coming up. I want to start off first with just introducing all of our speakers today, all the people that will be answering your questions tonight, but also they will be familiar faces for you as you arrive to campus during move-in. So I'll start with myself. I'm Shamira James. I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator of Housing and Residence Life. And I have been the one kind of handling all of your email communications and putting things out on social media and doing that piece of move-in. And I will hand it over to Mason.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mason Henderson. I'm the Director of Housing here at American University. Really excited to talk to everyone tonight about move-in, which is right around the corner. I know it's on everyone's mind. We're all getting very excited to come to campus in the hot, sweltering month of August in DC. We are very excited to be welcoming your students here on campus and to be getting back into the school year. I will pass it to Desi.
Hi everyone, my name is Desi. I'm the Assistant Director of Housing Assignments. I process all the housing assignments and assist with room changes during the semester. And I'm looking forward to meeting all of you on campus at the end of the month.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dante Moore. I'm the Assistant Director of Housing Operations. So I take care of all things inside your room, furniture, and anything else that comes inside of it.
And last but not least, we do have one of our students on. Emma Shea, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. You've been a part of Move In many times.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emma Shea. I'm the head office assistant for the Housing and Residence Life office. I manage all of the emails, phone calls that the office gets, along with some of the other student office assistants. I'm also a rising junior at American University. So if there's any student-related questions, I will do my best to answer those as well.
Sean, if you want to go ahead and jump in, introduce yourself for us.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming, all 200 plus of you. We are excited to spend the time together. I'm Sean. I serve as the Director of Residence Life here at American University. So my team is responsible for the lived experience of your students in the residence halls, to include our resident assistant team is supervised by our community director team. And then my leadership team supervises all of those folks, two of which are on the call. So that is our work, and we work hand in hand with our housing folks to ensure that overall your student is having a great experience from the time they move in to the time they utilize the facilities until the time they exit. So we're happy to assist on tonight's call, and I will pass to my colleague, Nick.
Good evening, everyone, or hello for where you're calling in. My name is Nicolas. You can call me Nick. I respond to he and they pronouns. Serve as one of the associate directors for Residence Life. So anything student related, student support, adjustment to college, I'd be happy to help you. I'm going to pass over to my colleague, Anthony.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Fada. I am the Assistant Director for Residential Operations and Finance. The main thing that you will see that's like within my purview is the residential desks, who should be smiling and welcoming you when you arrive to move in. But feel free to, and I'll also be answering questions today. So any question you have, go ahead and type it into the Q&A portion.
Perfect. And we also have Dayon Taylor here, who is one of our operations specialists. Dayon, I don't know if you're in a place to unmute and introduce yourself, but he is also here. He will also be handling our chat as well. He works on Dante's team to manage the furniture in your rooms, but also manage the appearance and beautification of the halls. And they're a team that's working hard this summer. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We've kind of done all of our intros, everyone. So as you all are much aware, this presentation is called Everything You Need to Know About Move-In. We're going to cover all of the bases, from things that should be handling or things that are being done beforehand, what you can expect on the day of, and we'll touch a little bit on what you can expect kind of after you've officially moved into your space. And so, yeah, that's the sections that we're going to be covering. We broke it down just into 3 simple sections: before you arrive, move-in day, and after you arrive. And so the before piece, I will hand it over to Dante.
Facility teams. I wasn't prepared for this fight.
And that is,
I'll jump in, Shamir, if I can.
Yeah.
Just a couple of things to note from both Dante and I. We both have experience working on the facilities side. We spend a lot of time over the course of the summer and the course of really the school year, making sure that the halls are prepared for move-in. So one of the things that we start with is room readiness. Shamira mentioned, Dan is on the call as well. If you have questions about what your room is going to look like when you get here, if you've done a loft purchase or a reservation already this summer and you want to know more, if you're waiting to do a loft purchase, for example, and know that you're not able to do one currently because we're pausing them until we get through move-in, these are all the things that we do during the summer months. And really the month of August is when we start ramping that up. Room upgrades, I just mentioned one of the biggest ones, lofts. Many of you have already put in your loft reservation requests, and we've processed those. Many of you have also rented My Fridge from My Fridge Rental, which is our approved fridge rental on campus. Many of those are being delivered now to your room spaces. And a lot of those things will continue throughout the school year. For those of you who make those purchases or make those rentals during the school year and the semester, we continue those relationships with our vendors and throughout the year. Dante, his team is working much throughout the semester to improve rooms and to facilitate any of the maintenance requests you might have. But a lot of those begin with the upgrades that we have ready for you when you move into the halls. And I think I mentioned all of them. Lofts, I might be forgetting one. Dante, let me know if I am. Lofts, My Fridge, and XL bed requests, I think, is the other one that we've processed at this point. And then training our staff, that goes through a whole litany of things, but basically by the time you arrive in the fall semester, again in the hot month of August, in the summer, at the end of the summer, we have all been in these rooms, we have seen these rooms, we have all worked together and started to really build the community long before you've come here. Our Res Life partners begin working with the residence hall assistants far before you arrive, so that once you're here, your room is ready and your community is ready, and those spaces are activated as soon as you're here on campus even if you're doing an early move-in on the 20th or the 21st. And then the move-in plan, that's the day of, and that's when we start really getting into the community building and starting with getting you out of your cars and into Mary Graydon Center to be welcome to campus and to spend time with family and friends on your last day together before the semester starts. Anything else, Sean, from your team, or Shamira, just on the overview of the before part?
I just say pay attention to the packing list. Think about some of the things that you would want to bring in your space. I like to tell folks that the room is not gigantic, and so I think just thinking about spacing, something that's helpful as well is folks communicating with their roommate to see kind of some of the things that the roommate is bringing versus what they should bring. So if folks are interested in a mini fridge rental experience, that can be worked through our office, and so figuring out like what that looks like for folks, or if there's going to be a TV in the room, sometimes one roommate brings it or the other roommate does. So just thinking about those things and thinking about what you can bring. There was a question in the chat about bed risers, so that's an example of something that isn't able to be brought, and so we'll discuss that too. But I think like just asking those, this is a good space to ask those type questions, but also just really be thinking like, as a student, what do you need to feel as at home as possible in your space, while also not having so much in your space that you aren't able to move freely through the environment. And I don't know if Nick and Anthony have anything additional there.
And before we kind of get into the nitty gritty of what the process actually looks like day of, my one thing that I tell students, parents, and families is whatever you think you need to bring to campus, use that packing list, absolutely, that Sean mentions, but also go ahead and just cut that list in half. You do not need as much as you think you do. First year students, this is the biggest thing that our second year students, when we see them come back to campus, they're coming in one car with not that much stuff. They have learned the lesson of first year. We see so many things at the end of the year being donated, being given back, which is great, but it's a lot of brand new stuff that people just didn't use that much of in their halls. So to Sean's point with the packing list, also I recommend virtual tours to get a sense of what is in your room. If you haven't done that already, if you weren't able to come to campus and tour a room or see one of our model showrooms, get familiar with your space ahead of time. We've done those virtual tours so that you can actually click through the spaces and get a really good sense of how much room do you actually have. These are really nice residence hall rooms. They are not gigantic mansions, and we often see we'll have folks come through with 2 or 3 cars worth of stuff, and we're always like sweating extra hard when we see that happen. So please remember that, just think consciously about your space, and you will be there for a whole year. You will have plenty of time to fill it with all the wonderful things.
Perfect. Moving on. Before on your end, pretty sure this is my slide, I think, so I'm going to go ahead and take this over. As Sean mentioned before, you want to make sure you're checking that packing list. My personal anecdote about overpacking is that every single year I did not learn the lesson, and every single year my mom would yell at me about how many things I had to bring back with me. So check that packing list and double check it and really evaluate what you're bringing. Connecting, please make sure you are in close contact with your roommate to make sure you guys aren't bringing double of things. You know, there's no reason that both of you should purchase a micro fridge. I mean, unless you genuinely want your things separated. There's no reason to have the bulkier items that you're bringing like double up. You want to make sure you're connecting with them, but also just making sure you get to know who they are and understanding what time people are, or what time your roommate's getting there, what time your suite mates are getting there, just kind of making those bonds ahead of time. And then as far as communications, you want to make sure that you're checking your AU email, which I'm certain most of you did, because that's where you were able to obtain this link from. Make sure you're following us on social media to get more updates as we get closer and closer to move-in day, especially kind of those quick turnaround updates. Next slide.
This is a really important detail, and it pivots right off of what Shamira just said. And I see a lot of questions in the chat of where can we find certain bits of information. There are three main places that information is going to come. Shamira just mentioned the first one, kind of our alert system for letting you know, hey, something important is about to happen, like your move-in date is approaching. That's the email system that we use, and that goes directly to student emails. It's a really great way to get very comfortable as a student with the culture of being on this campus and being a really active user of your student email. That will happen regardless, but we ask that you kind of start with us and start incorporating a lot of those pieces of information through your inbox and reading through that. So that's the first piece of communication. For parents, families, also students, but mainly parents and families, the website is a great place to navigate if you have a question. I always tell folks we've really itemize things in a way where you can search American University housing and then what you're looking for on Google, and you will get to where you need to go pretty quickly. But if you want to click around, there's a lot of helpful things on there. We have our housing licensing agreement there. We have all the documents that students are getting from us throughout the year. But there are also things like our breakdown of our vendors and who we use. There's the packing list. A lot of that lives on just the AU site and our housing site, specifically Housing and Residence Life. For students, the piece that you see here, hang tags and cart tags, this is something that you will see on your individual student housing portal, which is the third place where you really should be active as you approach your move-in date. Your housing portal is where a lot of the information regarding your assignment, that's your room assignment, your move-in time slot, and then different pieces of information about what you should be bringing with you and how you should be prepared the day of your move-in. So this piece here is to illustrate that. These are hang tags and cart tags that we ask every student to print out before they come to campus. There's two reasons for this. One, it helps you verify where exactly you are going. So you'll see some information here. On the left, you have the hang tag, which just goes in the front windshield of your car or however you're getting to campus. That tells us that you are getting to Centennial Hall. It also tells you that's where your assignment is. It tells you what gate you're coming through at campus, Glover Gate. Most of you will be approaching from that gate. We'll get to maps and that in a second. But on the right, you have cart tags, and these are really helpful for us to help get your things out of your car and moved up into your room. For those of you who aren't familiar, on our assisted first year move-in days, that's the 22nd and the 23rd. Again, we'll get to that calendar in a second. Those are assisted because we will actually assist you in emptying out all your belongings and getting them into carts and getting them into the halls while you go and do a ton of fun welcome activities over in the Mary Graydon Center and on the main quad. And the goal of that is twofold. Processing all the traffic that we have to get through on those days, obviously, is kind of our part to worry about. But for you all, it allows you to relinquish the responsibility of moving stuff around very quickly so that we can get you parked, get you on campus, and get you experiencing AU pretty much immediately from when you get out of your car to when you're ready to come back to your room. So again, I said twofold. One is for us to know where you're going, and one is for you to know where you're going and where your stuff is going. So we ask that folks go to your housing portal and look for this after this webinar tonight. Go ahead and look and make sure you can see this and that it matches what your room assignment is for the fall. It should, and then print those out. And if you see there's some dotted lines for you to cut along, please separate those before. Just a little trick. We always see someone frantically tearing them up into different pieces for us on the day of. We'll have some of the supplies for you. And if you forget them, not a big deal. We'll have extras.
Moving on the day of, as we've just kind of alluded to or just blatantly said, you just get here and we will handle the rest. Move-in calendar, Mason, take it away.
Great. So this is just kind of a helpful barometer. I already mentioned the 22nd and the 23rd. We've mentioned move-in time slots. Many of you students have already interacted with that process to either verify what your move-in time slot is. That's the time of day that you're going to be getting here to be on campus and when you can actually come on and we'll unload your stuff. Many of you have seen that, many of you have switched those. Some of you may have also switched to an earlier time slot. So two main things here, the 22nd and the 23rd, those are assisted move-in days. That's when a lot of our events are occurring. That's when a lot of our staff are on site, our volunteers are here welcoming you to campus. However, on the 20th and the 21st, we will have many folks, first years, transfer students, sophomores, upper division students who will come early. We ask that you are, if you're coming on the 20th or the 21st, you go into your housing portal and you actually self-select an earlier move-in time slot. So that lets us know that you're not going to be coming, and we can give your move-in time slot to somebody else on the 22nd and the 23rd if they want to come earlier, for example. But the 20th and the 21st, though they are not assisted, they're still a great way for many of our programs to kick off and to get in touch with campus. So obviously the 20th is a Sunday. For a lot of folks, that's a more convenient weekend day, especially for families who are coming to support and come out kind of en masse to be with their student on the last day. So we get it, that's great. For some of our communities, including Black Affinity Housing and Explore DC, and I did see some questions in the chat, both of those programs do some extra things on the front end of move-in, and they will have folks welcoming you from those programs, some volunteers here to say, hey, welcome to campus, even ahead of the 22nd and 23rd move-in. But if you're not a part of those programs, those are still options for you. It just means that you're going to be coming to campus and moving a lot of your stuff yourself. We will still have moving carts available at the residence halls. We will still have front desk support at the residence halls. We will still have folks milling around and welcoming you, even if you're not a part of those programs. The 22nd and the 23rd, those are the big days where we have a very big presence on campus, and it really kicks off our Welcome Week activities. So again, that's when many of you were assigned a time slot on your housing portal. And if you haven't moved to an earlier time slot, that's when many of you are going to be here on campus, either on the 22nd, on the 23rd.
Perfect. All right, so moving on, I believe the maps are next. Yeah, Mason, I don't know if you want to read the text first, and then we'll kind of go to the bigger pictures of the maps.
Sure. So these are some other pieces of information that are helpful to you. AU has a very large out of the district population, out of Maryland, out of Virginia, but we also have folks coming from all over the country and internationally to AU. DC can be a little tricky to navigate when you first kind of get here. And if you're wondering about what we do to try and simplify our process, basically, we have some maps available that direct you to the main Glover Gate on main campus, which is where the vast majority of you, and I'll get to the exception in a second, are going to be entering campus on those assisted move-in days. So you will see these on our website Tuesday and Wednesday, the 22nd and the 23rd. We have a slightly different traffic pattern each day because we're running move-in operations for different buildings slightly differently. But for you all, those aren't really details that you need to concern yourself with. Once you get to AU's campus and you get to the Glover Gate right across from Katz and Art Center, you'll be directed by our AUPD, our police department on campus, our safety officers and our parking officers will be directing you all the way through campus, and you won't even be parking your car until everything is unloaded, and then you are directed to another parking lot. So it's a very seamless process, but we give these maps to basically say, how should you approach the Glover Gate to be most successful on move-in day, and where is Glover Gate located? So Shamira mentioned the text up top. There's a lot of information there. I will go through it just very briefly, but it is also on our website and on these graphics. What that text tells you to do is approach the Glover Gate and approach campus if you can, coming from north to south. Many of you, because of where AU is located, if you're using Google Maps or Waze or whatever you're using, that's sort of the natural way to get to AU's campus, coming from north to south. On Mass Ave and coming down towards what we call Ward Circle, which is the traffic circle that you see right there. That enables you to take a very easy right-hand turn right into campus. It's a really important detail, probably the first really important crucial thing that we've said so far to remember. Coming from north to south on Mass Ave allows you to get to Glover Gate seamlessly and without blocking up any traffic. You'll see that Shamira has done a great job of putting a big no left turn sign on Mass Ave going south to north. Again, we'll figure it out with you. We'll have some traffic direction around that intersection when we get here, but that allows our long line of cars throughout the day to come through campus and to come through in a way that makes sense for the rest of the city and for the traffic flow moving forward. From there, you'll notice that things get split off a little bit depending on what hall you're going to. But basically, you are moving from north to south through campus. And then once your car is unloaded, you will be directed to a parking lot just as seamlessly. So you're not going to be sent to go park at a lot far away to then walk over with all of your things. You'll be directed throughout, and we'll have signage kind of throughout the campus. And I won't go through really too much of where parking lots are. Parking is going to be available. And again, we'll be directed. We have Katzen, we have the SIS and East Campus garages. And then we also have Bender Arena. So we have plenty of parking for folks. But the other thing that I will say about this map is that it is, as I'm talking, you're noticing this is one big long line. And I want to go back very briefly to time slots. It is super, super important and super, super helpful that folks, families, students, parents, whoever is coming with you, do your best to follow your move-in time slot time. That enables us to make sure the flow of traffic moves very steadily and seamlessly through campus. It also enables us to make sure that you are not sitting in your car for an extra long time waiting for things to be unloaded. The main thing that I tell folks is that it is not easy to get to campus super, super early, go park and bring your stuff into the halls ahead of time. We don't run that operation that way. What we do is an assisted process that basically means throughout you are kind of shepherded through the process all the way to when you park your car. So again, Glover Gate, coming north to south on Mast Ave, and taking that right-hand turn at the Glover Gate is how you're going to get to campus. I said there was going to be an exception. The exception is for folks who are coming from an airport and using a rideshare service, Lyft, Uber, whatever you're using. We will actually have them enter from the opposite end of campus. So if you look to the left side of Shamira's screen, we have some gray arrows coming in from Nebraska Avenue. That's just an extra gate that allows us to get you out of a taxi or a Lyft or an Uber very, very quickly, so that you're not paying an extra fare or dealing with an angry Uber driver who's trying to drop you off on campus. We really want them to avoid that line of cars that moves from north to south across the campus. So we'll have them come in what's called Fletcher Gate. They should be able to figure out where that is, the closest intersection. If you're looking, it's Nebraska and someone remind me, I just blanked on it. It's not New Mexico, but
Massachusetts?
no, it's not that. We'll put it in the chat. But it's very easy to find. And that's just for ride shares. That's the one exception to the Glover Gate entrance. I want to pause really quickly because I just threw a lot at everybody. Anything particular in the chat about questions about traffic flow, driving in DC, ride share, anything that we're seeing that we should kind of call out real quickly while we have the graphic up?
I will clarify that this was the one for Wednesday. So if it looks a little different from the one before, it is because it is a little different, but it's essentially the same kind of idea that you will enter in from Mass Ave and kind of follow the flow based on where you're going.
And I see questions about addresses for Uber. American University's campus, pretty easy to find. I usually put in Anderson Hall, which many of you will know is one of the halls, because that's the hall that is kind of closest. Anderson and Letts Centennial are all closest to that Fletcher Gate entrance. That usually gets you to where you're going, and they'll take that Fletcher Gate rather than trying to drive all through campus. If it's helpful, tell them the south entrance to campus and they can usually figure that out as well. Other questions about directions?
Just FYI, the intersection for the Fletcher Gate is Rockwood Place and Nebraska.
Thanks, Anthony. And Shamira, I think we can go to the next slide because I'm seeing some questions about what are we doing after we get out of our cars and after we park.
Let me say this really quickly before
Go
we
ahead,
do
Sean.
that.
Yep.
There's some concern regarding like what happens if we're in the line and we miss our move-in time or whatever have you. Come for your move-in time, plan to be there for your move-in time. We will process the line. I think from folks' experience in the past, we had a traffic jam, I think at times due to other factors that we didn't control for in our process. I think this year cars will be unloaded as quickly as they can, and folks will be redirected to carry on. I think you should anticipate a short wait, but I don't think that it's anything significant. I also wouldn't worry. We will definitely, if you're in the line, we will move students in. If you miss your time, we're not going to tell you to come back another day or anything to that effect. So don't worry there.
Perfect. So as we talk about what to do, and I was actually just typing an answer to this question, but I think this will kind of answer that question. So as we talk about what to do, kind of when, you pull up, we have our lovely moving team unpacking your car for you and putting your stuff in your room. When we talk about what you can do instead, Desi, I will hand it over to you to talk about what our options are for our parents and our students once their car is unpacked.
So once you arrive, once you leave your luggage, you can make your way to Mary Graydon Center. And over there, you will complete the check-in process. You will collect your AUID, one card. I saw a question, is it possible to collect it on the day before? Yes, on 21st of August, one card office will be open. We can share in the answers what the opening times are, so that is an option. However, once you get there and you collect your AUID, you can complete the check-in process. We will have staff there to assist you, and you can take your time and visit our campus fair while we are getting the room ready for you. It will take probably, we will say, and Mason can correct me, about 2 hours, so that we can make sure that your luggage is transferred to your room and you can make your way back to the residence hall. And we know that it's a quite stressful time to move in, and probably you're asking yourself, who is going to be there to help you when you arrive? That goes to our next slide. So the short answer is, we will be here to help you, no matter if you arrive by yourself or with your family and friends are coming to assist you. We want you to know that there will be a lot of people around to help you. We will have our whole housing and residence life team around, including our residential advisors in each hall. We will also have the moving volunteers, AUPD, this is the University Police Department, and of course, all the Mary Graydon Center staff that will walk you through the moving process, assist you, and make sure you make the most of the moving experience. It is very important for you to connect with us as soon as you move in and to stay connected throughout your whole residential experience as well. If you want to go to next slide, Shamira.
So as Desi was
Yeah.
touching on, who is here to help? Desi, did you just want to continue kind of going on, talking about all the pieces that everyone plays?
Yep, as I've already mentioned, once you leave your stuff, our moving assistants will help you transfer the luggage. You make your way to Mary Graydon. The Mary Graydon staff will help you. You can attend the campus fair. Then once the room is ready, you make your way back to the hall to set up your room.
Yeah, so just because I know I saw a question about this, the idea is you pull up the move-in crew that we have and the volunteers, they'll help unpack your car. You can kind of stick around for a little bit just to kind of get some like essential things kind of settled down, but we really want you to yes, your parents can go with you, you and your parents and your whole family, you all go to MGC, then we'll talk about this in a later slide, but you'll go and get those items from there. You can go and get lunch there, and you'll kind of walk around and experience I forget the name of it, but it's like a fair put on by some of our campus partners to just get you more acclimated and kind of get you excited for the things you have coming up for that move-in week. So yes, which takes us beautifully into our next slide, which is you getting settled in. So getting informed and getting involved. Your RAs, as you know, the Res Life team has been kind of working with them to train them, to get them equipped to work with you all for the whole school year. So they're planning out their floor meetings that you'll have in the beginning, but also fun hall programs to keep you all engaged throughout the year, but also really get you excited for that first week kind of going into your, collegiate career. I know that people have been asking, at least in the past, people have been asking about mail packages. They have started accepting packages on the 17th. I would say if you have specific questions about what you're able to mail prior to your arrival here, reach out to them specifically. We're able to answer some questions on their behalf, but we just don't have all the information that they would have. You also will have your All-American Welcome activities. These are super fun events. I know that there's There's a jazz garden. I know there's drag bingo. They do breakfast at night. So it's kind of somewhat of a tradition here that people kind of enjoy these events for that first week before class starts. So that's really exciting. You also have convocation and other fun social activities thrown by other clubs and other like academic offices around campus. Your room inventory form, this is more of just a formality, but it's a very important document that your RAs will review in that mandatory floor meeting. So please don't miss out on that. Someone did ask about meal plans. They will start on the 20th. The terrace dining room opens up on the 22nd around lunchtime. So as you're getting settled in, that's like the important part. Is don't want you to stay in the room too much and miss out on lunch. So you can unpack, head over there, get something to eat, and then enjoy the rest of your day. And then as we move on, again, just to kind of reiterate, we are obviously here for you during move-in, but specifically how you can reach out to us prior to, obviously we have our emails. You can email us at housinginamerican.edu. We have our social media accounts, all of which are just home@AU. We have our website where we kind of just, trying to update things as regularly as we can. But then on that day of or days of move-in, you can feel free to stop by our office. We are on the first floor of Anderson, which, for some of you will be lucky enough to call your home at AU once you arrive. So yeah, we are very reachable. And if you also go on our web pages, you'll be able to reach out to people specifically if you have any, specific questions that are more directly tied to our titles. But we've reached the end of our presentation. And as we're going through the chat, and also huge thank you to everyone who has been answering questions in the chat. I'm just seeing like how fast you all are moving. It's incredible. But have you all seen any specific trends of questions that maybe we could kind of revisit and go back and answer?
So I know, Shamira, just while the folks in the chat are getting ready, I'm seeing a lot just about traffic and like kind of orienting you with the rest of DC if you're familiar. So we're on the northwest sort of quadrant of the DC area. So if you're coming, for example, from the Beltway or Bethesda, Maryland, and you're on the northern part of DC, you're going to be coming down through Bethesda to get on Mass Ave basically and come to campus. If you're coming from Georgetown, right, that's the south end of campus, you're going to be coming from the opposite direction. So there'll be a little bit of a redirection once you get closer to campus to actually approach from the right way. It's not very difficult if you come up to campus rather than down to campus, right? There's an area other than Ward Circle is kind of very tricky. And I always tell folks it's actually better to go through and find a better spot to kind of turn around and reapproach from the correct direction on Mass Ave. But it's really a campus that like Mass Ave is a huge north to south lane, and it's pretty easy to find. I just saw a lot of questions, Shamir, about like, we'll be coming from the Beltway. Is that from Maryland or Virginia? And basically the Maryland side of the Beltway, yes, is from the northern side of the DC quadrant, whereas the Virginia side or the Georgetown side is the lower part.
Yes, I see. Let's see, trying to see if there's anything for
I will
questions.
jump in, Shamir, just another one I
Yeah.
saw. I think Desi has one that she'd like to answer live.
Yes.
I also saw a couple questions, good questions actually, because I focused way too much on assisted move-in. Some questions about the 20th and the 21st, what will be open and what is available. So the 20th and 21st, as their early move-in days, there will be hours for first-year students to come to Mary Graydon Center to get, for example, their AUID. I think the One Card office is going to be open from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. that day, getting AUID cards. So a lot of things will be kind of available to you, but it's definitely going to be a quieter day on campus. The One Card is the biggest thing that I tell folks to look for, just because that's where your room access is tied to, and it's a good place to stop off when you get here. They will be running hours from 12 to 5 to help accommodate folks, first-year students specifically, who are moving in early ahead of time. Once we get to Monday, the campus kind of opens up because it's a regular weekday for us, and a lot of our resources are going to be here. But I will say across the board, just to reiterate, we'll have some volunteer presence, and we will have housing and residence life folks here on both days to help assist and help welcome you to campus. So you're not going to be kind of coming to campus and no one's here. We are around, and you'll see us in the halls. Desi, if you want to jump in with your live question.
Oh wait, Desi,
Oh, you're muted, Desi, sorry.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yep.
I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that all the rooms are double occupancy. So even if the student does not have currently a roommate, they might get one assigned either prior to move in, because we still accept late applications for housing, or they can get a roommate assigned during our room change process that is scheduled to start 2-3 weeks after the move-in. In the meantime, if the student meets someone that they want to pull in as a roommate, they can participate in that room change process and request that student as a roommate.
Yes. I'm seeing just some questions about what happens if you're late, how long can we stay parked on campus? So maybe go reviewing just kind of like the time frame that everyone has would be helpful. Anyone, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, parking is really, I mean, when we're in move-in operation, parking is kind of, it's the one time on campus where you're going to be able to park your car for a significant period, many hours, while we kind of close down our move-in operation. So parking, you'll be the 4 garages I mentioned, you'll be directed to them, and that's available to you while you're here moving in. We won't allow for like overnight parking, for example, if you don't have a permit and those kind of things. We have way too many cars coming to campus between Tuesday and Wednesday to accommodate that. But you won't be asked to do anything specific for your parking while you're moving in. Our parking attendants really during those days are kind of committed not to giving parking tickets. The one time of year, they're not committed to giving parking tickets. They're committed to getting you through campus safely, and they'll be assisting our AUPD officers to do that as well. So that's one thing on parking. I also see just some questions about like
along those
yeah, go ahead,
lines,
Sean.
are you able to speak to just generally talking about, there's a lot of questions about like the Uber experience. So just talking about it and ensuring that folks understand like where the Uber should be going. Is there a hang tag needed for the Uber, or should the Uber driver just know what building it is? Just so that some of those questions can be clarified.
So I would recommend still the rideshare coming through and having a hang tag with it. So I know I mentioned the Fletcher Gate as the primary resource for the primary entrance rather for those folks to come and get into campus. The exception actually would be if you are in a rideshare and you're coming to either Leonard Hall on Wednesday or McDowell Hall on Tuesday. For those, when you print off your hang tags, you'll actually see the normal gate. And I think, Desi, we may have to check on this, but on the portal right now, there should be rideshare tags available. We'll double check on that. If you've tried to download them, just let us know, shoot us an email, and we'll help you find them. But it's helpful to have because it lets everybody know what hall you're trying to get to without having to roll down the window. It's just something that they can put in the windshield and get there. If they don't have it, it's not a big deal. We have plenty of cars coming to campus. We're not going to kind of stop you. We will probably ask what hall are you trying to get to, and then maybe redirect you the day of. So for example, if you are in an Uber and you're trying to get to McDowell Hall, but you've come across campus to the other side, we may redirect you to get you through quickly so that you can get to your building faster than coming in at whatever gate you've come in, if that makes sense. And then I saw some questions, Sean, too, about will we have assistance, for bringing luggage in an Uber? Absolutely. The areas where ride shares are going are synced up with where the rest of the cars are going. It just enables us to get you out of that Uber faster so that we're not kind of pulling you through the entire line of traffic, if that makes sense.
Perfect. Let's see.
See some questions, Shamir, about lunch, and I can't remember. I know Desi, we mentioned Mary Graydon Center assisted move-in days. So the 22nd is going to be the first day for lunch in the terrace dining room. That's going to be the first meal to kick off the terrace dining room. Parents, families, if you're interested, that's an option for you. They'll be down there taking swipes from students and opening up the dining hall. For those coming in on the 20th and the 21st, many of our retail dining options will be open on main campus. The dining hall will not be. So a bit of a shift there and a little bit of a difference, but Mary Graydon Center won't be the hub to go to grab lunch. There will be other opportunities in and around the terrace dining hall that will be open for you. Subway, Starbucks, a bunch of different things. And then we also recommend, if you're kind of willing to spend some time in and around our neighborhood, the Tenleytown neighborhood, which is where our AU Metro stop is. There's a shuttle that will run there. There's a lot of retail dining there as well to kind of welcome you not only to campus, but to the neighborhood.
Yeah, and just if I could say a few things here, and this, if the folks monitoring the chat can answer a lot or hit answer live as I hopefully answer some of them. The there's some questions in the chat regarding parking on campus. Mason has answered those pieces, but you will be directed on where you're going to park your vehicle while it is here on campus. Housing and Residence Life doesn't monitor parking. That's done by our parking and traffic folks who do engage with us in the move-in process as it's a campus function. So when you leave your residence hall after you've unloaded your belongings, you will go ahead and be directed to a parking space. The second question or thing I do want to clarify, when folks take items out of the vehicle, they'll be placed into some moving bins, and our team will escort those items up to the point where the items have been placed in the room for the student. That room will then be closed and secured. The Housing and Residence Life staff are the folks that have access to these spaces, and as folks have mentioned in the chat, you do need a one card to access those spaces. So once the vehicle leaves, the student will then go to the Mary Graydon Center, or MGC as folks are calling it in the chat, to retrieve their one card. Until the student has their one card, no one will be able to go back into the room. And so that's why it's really imperative as soon as those items are dropped, that folks do go ahead and go straight to Mary Graydon Center. There's a few other components with the Mary Graydon Center, but the key element for us is that the student retrieves their one card. For folks arriving in an hour or if something happens with traffic and there is no way for the student to get to AU for the one card experience during our time frame, my team is able to assist in giving the student a temporary card only until the one card office is open. So that temporary card will not constitute a year-round card. It's really important that the student understand that once we give you that temporary card, it's going to expire once the office opens. So we do need students to go ahead and go over to the one card office when that office is reopened, and our team will share this is the time when the office is opening or when it's closing. If there are folks that want to take things up to the room, so if there's a family member who wants to drop off some bags instead of loading it all into the cart, our team is able to allow you into the space to gather those things. We will just verify who you are. We'll get you into that room to drop things for the student during that time. And the last thing is folks asking about how to pack. That really is a preference of the user. So if you want to pack things in larger, I would recommend packing things in larger just so it's less trips, because some folks prefer not to wait in the line, to just get out, get a cart, unload it into a cart, and then have the vehicle drive away. Again, that's a user preference, but there really is no best way to pack. So if you want to use larger boxes, you're definitely able to do that. But again, it's totally up to you. IKEA has some really hefty bags that I've seen a lot of in my time, so that might be helpful for folks as well. There was something else that I was going to mention regarding packing. The last thing I'll say is this happens every single year. I've been in residence life for 10 years. We have 4,300 students that live on the American University campus. 4,300. We do not operate in a model that has one cart per student. That is financially not possible, and we don't have the storage space for them. So folks should understand early and often that our cart experience is on a first come, first serve basis. So as carts are available, folks are able to use them, are able to grab them, work with them, and manage it. What I do recommend is if folks have carts, or many families have moved many students into campus, so and we can see those folks pretty quickly because they get it done rather fast. But I recommend folks bringing any type of cart or moving item that they have to assist with their move-in, because there is, again, I'm going to say it for the 100th time, there is no guarantee that a cart will be available upon moving in. We have a very robust number of carts, but again, we have a lot of students moving in, and they're moving in all week because of course school starts that Monday. So please hear me say that we don't have one cart per student available.
And Sean's mostly, Sean, if I can just clarify, there's the difference between assisted and unassisted move-in. Sean has just named one of the big ones. When it's assisted, we're managing how many carts we're using. When it's unassisted, right, that's where those hand trucks from the garage really come in handy. If you have one, bring it. We will love you forever for helping us out and saving us some carts. A couple other questions just about what happens if I arrive late. Again, some of our students have actually preferred and selected time slots throughout the week that say, hey, I'm okay with moving myself in, but I actually want to move in the evening. That's totally fine. We have those time slots available. Our move-in process usually shuts down. I think our last time slot is 1:40 p.m., which ideally means we're finishing up by 2. We usually finish up by 2 or 3 p.m. If you miss your move-in time slot, for example, if you are one of our early morning people at 8 a.m. and you get here at 10, that is okay. No one's going to bar you from the campus. We will get you in the line and get you kind of moving on. It's just helpful for us to try and target it to different areas. So as long as everyone isn't showing up late on move-in day, we will be in great shape. Set your alarms, get a good night's sleep before. It's going to be a busy day. It's going to be an emotional day. Everyone will do great and have a great lunch in TDR if you're here on an assisted move-in day.
Something else to the question, the time frame between, or the time gap between getting an ID card and going to the room. This campus is very small. Well, excuse me, the campus, I'm not there. The campus is very small. So the walk between the Mary Graydon Center and any residence hall is not significant, or the commute from the Mary Graydon Center to any residence hall is not significant. So as soon as the student receives their one card, they are able to go back to their room immediately. If they choose not to take there's some photo booths, there's some other engagement opportunities in the Mary Graydon Center. If they don't want to engage in that, that's totally fine. They can come on back to the room and begin to set it up and work from there. There's a question about some fairs about like sometimes campuses have people are selling rugs or people are selling plants for rooms, those things. If there's something that you really want for your room, I recommend just go ahead and purchase it before you arrive or get those things before you come. I don't recommend waiting to see if those things are happening, just because those things are managed differently. And so being an open campus, folks can sell, they can set up a station, and Karen's office in the new student family programs office manages that. I will acknowledge there's a Target probably
less than a mile
away.
0.8 miles.
You can actually take our AU shuttle that way to go and get it. So what I've seen is folks will arrive, they'll get to the room, they'll make a list of things that they know they want to go ahead and grab, or even what folks do also is order from Target online and have those items delivered to that Target location. And so then that way it's easy to Uber up there, grab those things and then come on back, or take the shuttle up there, grab those things and then come on back. Similarly, there's a Giant Food, there's a Whole Foods, and there's some other shopping locations right there for folks that don't want to bring their groceries from a significant distance. There's also a question about like eating on campus. There are very limited options that are going to be open on campus for folks to eat, but right in Tinleytown, which is the kind of the neighborhood where we all live, there are many, many, many food options. You have a Five Guys there, you have a Panera Bread, Chipotle, Popeyes. So if families like those options, they're able to go right over there to Tinleytown and grab some lunch if they wish, and they can even bring it back to campus and eat on campus, or of course, eat at one of our on-campus locations.
Perfect. We've answered 153 questions in the chat, so I'm very proud of us for doing that. Mason.
Additionally, sorry, Shamir.
Oh, no, go ahead.
For storage bins, it's a question about like, what do we bring for storage bins? I think what I've seen, again, our rooms are not humongous. And we have kind of some built-in units, so that does take a good chunk of space. So if you're going to bring storage bins or move with storage bins, I just think about like, should I take those items back? So be having the conversation with the student if applicable, to say, do you want to keep these here or do you want to take them back with you? Because sometimes they do become bulky or do become a hindrance to like the students' access and moving through the space. They're very helpful to pack with. Those big Rubbermaid things are very helpful to pack with, but it does become difficult regarding where is the student going to place them to store them, because if this student, most of our students utilize under their bed as a good storage location, or even within that closet. And I'll just tell you transparently, those bigger Rubbermaid containers won't necessarily fit in there. So we do have a lot of families that use those for moving the things up to the space, have the student unload them, and then the family might take those storage bins back with them. So that's just the answer to that question that's coming up.
And one, just jumping off of that, and then Shamira, you go, but the one thing I'll say is, and I don't think we've mentioned it somehow, but we've mentioned volunteers, we've mentioned our AU campus, we've mentioned kind of welcoming you and the things that are going on at Mary Graydon Center. When we talk about moving, we actually work with a professional moving company, Perry Mover, here on campus. So a lot of these questions about how should I pack, what's the best, I get where that's coming from, because you're thinking, if my English 101 professor is picking up all of the things that I'm bringing with me to my first year residence hall room, am I confident that they're going to do a good job? We have professionals that help us and teach our volunteers and also work with us day of to unload things from cars to carts, into carts, and then again, unpack them outside of rooms. They move very, very quickly, but they also move very, very safely. The biggest thing I would tell folks is try to avoid just like loose items. There's always some stuff. Go ahead and leave the loose stuff in your car and bring it over with you at the end of the day when you're done doing welcome activities with your family. Don't worry so much about getting everything out of the car if it's, you know, random stuff rolling around or stuff you're bringing from Target. But just a note on that, because I think it's helpful to kind of readjust and think about these are movers that are moving your stuff. They know what they're doing. Go ahead, Shamira.
Well, I just wanted to ask you if you were ready to mention what we chat about offline, if you want to.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. There are a lot of questions. Yeah, my fault, Shamira. With a lot of questions about Leonard Hall, which many of our first year students, we have some upper division students, some living learning community students, and who did I forget? Second year students who are going to be living in the newly renovated hall. There are questions about, do we have pictures yet? Do we have virtual tours yet? No, those will be coming. They will probably not be here before move-in. So buckle up. We will all be seeing the building kind of at the, well, we'll see it before you all, but you'll get your first taste of it at move-in. It is going to be beautiful. We're very excited for those of you who are living there. Many of you who are living there already know that is our first building with truly gender neutral pod style bathrooms. So it's a communal style bathroom, meaning that there's a bathroom on the floor. It's not in suite or in room. And it's our first building that is employing that concept. We're very, very excited about it. Fully lockable private pods all the way around in one contiguous bathroom space. So it's still communal, but with private spaces that are gender neutral. Very excited about that and very excited to kind of see that north side of campus get some love and care that we've been hoping it can get. For those who have seen the old Leonard, it's going to look very, very different. And we're very excited about what it's going to be on move-in day. Shamir, were there any other specific questions, things I didn't hit? I think it was mostly about, can we see it yet? The answer is no. Very sorry, but you will see it on move-in day.
The only thing I saw, Mason, was just how to adjust their beds.
Oh, good.
Questions about that.
So it's actually pretty simple. So there's a loft, which is very, very different. That's equipment that we bring in to loft your bed for you. We ask that you don't do that yourself. Height adjustments on your bed. We have a great video. It's really easy to do. You don't even need a mallet to do it, but a lot of the pieces are right in the bed frame. We have these kind of really great frames that lock in directly into the bedpost. So there's a way to do it. If you need help, you can always put in a request through through Dante's team, through the housing operations team, and we can help you. But we also put out some videos at the beginning of the year to show you how to do it before you start putting your stuff on your bed. And those will be shared out in the weeks before move-in. You'll see them on your portal.
Just a question. The video, Shamir, is also on Instagram, correct?
Yes, it's actually pinned on our Instagram page. If you want to go ahead and check that out, it's home at AU. It'll be the first post on the feed.
That'll make Shamir very happy if you.
It will. And if you like it and comment, I'll sit over here and like just be giggly all night because I love interaction.
There's some questions about two things. One, mailbox keys. I see Desi is working as hard as she can to answer those. There are mailboxes available to each student that lives on campus. Our team manages those mailboxes. We do not provide the mailbox key as a part of moving in. If the student wants their mailbox key, is as easy as going to their front desk. All of our front desks are always open. They ask for their mailbox key and our team signs out the mailbox key. That's it. That's the end. If the student is getting a parcel that's smaller or a letter, or a postcard, or I don't know if people write postcards anymore, but anything to that effect, that will be delivered to the mailbox. There is no notification that goes out that a letter is in that mailbox. The student just has to go and check their mail if they know something is coming from a parent or family member. If they're getting a package or something that is larger, like if they get a next day ground air package that can't fit in that mailbox, at that point it would be logged as a package. Everyone should know that our mail goes to a central processing center before it arrives to American University. So if you receive a notification that says the package is here, it is very likely that the package is in the packaging center and not say, for example, Mason didn't get his notification that he got a package. It's because the package hasn't been sorted yet. Our team in Housing and Residence Life does not manage the packaging distribution at all, which is sometimes difficult for folks to understand. It's just not our work, but we do work with those folks that are over there to assist with that management. But just understanding that it's not the same as delivering a package directly to folks' front door, because again, the processing time is different. Even for our central office, our team doesn't get our mail immediately when it arrives because it has to be processed first. And I see the question there about the bed adjustments. That's located directly on our Instagram. Again, that's home at AU. And the other question was about parents. When can we come back and visit? When can we do whatever? You can come back and visit whenever you'd like. I talk to your student first to see if they want you to come back, whatever you'd like in terms of what are we doing, what's happening. If after moving a parent does come back, at that point, they are a guest. And so the parent does need to visit the front desk and sign in with our team. And the student does have to come down to receive their guest. So the student will be providing their information to our front desk, and the front desk will at that time sign the parent in. There were also some questions about furniture. I have a really great bed. Can I bring it with me? I have a really great sectional couch. Can I bring that with me? There is absolutely no furniture that's not university furniture allowed into the space. That's for fire code and that's for safety as well. And so please understand that for what it is. Our team will engage with the student, the family at the door and say, yes, unfortunately that item is not able to come into the space. Yep, it's tough for, I think, people to understand sometimes, but again, like seeing the size of the units and what our fire marshal tells us, that's exactly why we do the things we do. Our furniture is also rated based on fire code and things like that. The furniture or appliances and those things are not. Speaking of appliances, I do recommend folks look at our approved appliance list. That's very helpful. Because there are some items that aren't able to be brought into the residence hall space. So please just consider that as a part of your move-in. Air fryers are a big thing. Just look at our specificity to see if the air fryer that you have does meet those requirements for coming into the space. So that is that piece that's really important. We don't allow candles. So if people have special candles from home or those pieces, I totally understand, I respect it. But again, this is my 10th year in residence life. And we've done this a lot, and candles are our number one leading cause of residence hall fires, and we do not want that. So we don't allow any candles of any kind into our space. I see more questions about furniture. Folks,
I know, Sean, you just mentioned
Yeah,
you mentioned all the things that we were gonna.
Yeah.
I want to be conscious of everyone's time. If you have a question that we didn't get to, we have done our best. Sean has brought up the most question-ready topics right at the end. Please feel free to email us at housing@american.edu. We're happy to interact with you that way. Check out those resources that I mentioned. Students, your emails, your housing portal. Parents and families and students, use our website. A lot of it is there. Shamir does a very good job of keeping things updated on our social media. I love to know that the bed loft video has been pinned because it's so relevant. The bed height video, not the bed loft video. I think I've stalled enough for us to get questions answered. So please use any of those for information, but feel free to reach out to us as well. We're very, very excited to welcome some new Eagles to campus this year. We're very excited about the new Leonard building and the renovation that we've talked about very briefly. We're excited to run another move-in. This is not our first time doing this, and so we're very confident in this process and really making the day about your students, your families, and really creating some moments where you can share the campus together before you kick off the year. And we got some questions about, should I stay overnight? Should I stay for 2 or 3 days extra? Should I say 2 or 3 weeks into the semester? No, it's move in, spend some time, but then hand your students over to us. They will be in good hands. And we're very excited to see all of you here this fall. Shamira, Sean, Desi?
I think, Shamira, if you're okay,
Yeah.
I think some of us can stick around here for folks who have nuanced questions.
Yes, I was actually going to ask if anyone wanted to stick around. Great minds.
Yeah, just I'm going to be eating my dinner, but if folks want to ask us more specific questions, at least myself, Shamira, Mason will be here for a little bit, but Shamira, if you want to close us out, thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah, thank you all so much for coming. As I said earlier, this recording will be on the Student Affairs YouTube page, and then we will share that to our social medias and to our web pages. So if you need to revisit, you can feel free to do so then. Thank you all so much for saying thank you. I actually really appreciate that. But have a lovely night, and we will see you all on that lovely, lovely August week, which is coming sooner than you think. Bye, you all. Have a lovely night and enjoy the rest of your week. Happy Friday. Tomorrow, it's Friday, but yes. And yeah, if any pro staff people want to stick around, Mason, you can stop the recording now.
Okay,
if you
great.
haven't stopped already.